We have our front for our pillow that we have put our backing onto, and we've cut it to the size we want. And we have the back that are the exact same size. So now we are going to sew them together. So in order to sew things together, you're going to put them right sides together. So you're going to have both of the good sides facing toward the inside. Now in order to stuff the pillow, we have to leave a section at the bottom that is not sewn up. So you can place your pins on either side of that section, just to remind you not to go past that, because you have to have enough to pull it inside out and in order to stuff it. And we will hand sew that section later. So go ahead and place however many pins you feel you need. I put mine this direction because I use small pins and I just sew directly over them. If you are sewing with larger pins, you would place your pins this direction, okay? And then as you get to that pin, you pull it out. So those are just two ways. Some people don't like to sew over their pins because it tends to warp them. You can break needles on them. I just find it so much more convenient. But if you're using your mom's sewing machine, I would consult with her on whether you would like her, whether she would like you to sew over your pins or not. And so I'll do one section here showing you what it looks like the other direction. Okay, I'll do my last section going this way for you. Okay, we now have all of our pins and we're ready to go to our sewing machine. We are in front of our sewing machine, and mine is probably a little more fancy than yours is, but that's okay. They all essentially do the exact same thing. So you're gonna want some white thread, and we all know that a sewing machine uses a thread and a bobbin. And there were videos that I showed you on how to thread your bobbin, but I am going to show you again how to do that. So you will start your thread like you're going to thread your machine, but you're going to loop it over here to your bobbin threader. Most every machine has an automatic bobbin threader unless it's a really old machine. Okay, my type of bobbins, you stick your thread up through this little hole. Every type of bobbin is slightly different. You put it on your bobbin winder and push it over, and you use your presser foot, which is down here, and you're going to push on your presser foot and start it winding. I'm going to cut my thread off, and you can just let it wind all the way up. Takes a few minutes here. And it looks like it's going to use all of my white thread. So we will get another spool of thread after we have finished this in order to get it all set. Okay, we have our wound bobbin, and this is a drop-in bobbin. So you literally just drop it inside. And every machine is slightly different. Mine, you have to hook it around this little metal piece in the front. And there's little arrows. There's a little arrow that goes up and an arrow that comes down. And you slide the plate over it. That down arrow cuts your thread. Okay, so now our bobbin is in place, and now we need to put our thread on the machine. We're going to thread our machine. So get my thread ready. Okay, you put your thread onto the spool holder. There's usually a cap type thing to hold it in place and to make sure it comes off smoothly. I like to lay mine down. It will actually work straight up, but I find it easier laying down. Okay, Every machine has some sort of directions on how to thread it. There's usually arrows or pictures or numbers. Mine just has pictures. See, there shows this little picture that you go down this direction, and then there's an arrow that goes in here, and then you go down around this, and then there's an arrow coming back up and back around. So just follow the directions of your machine. If you are not sure how to thread your specific machine, open up your manual. They're usually very self-explanatory. Or you can look at your type of machine, and you can usually find YouTube videos on your very specific machine. Okay, so mine goes around this metal thing, goes around here. This is where it provides your tension. It goes down underneath this plastic bar, back up, around this little metal hook. This also provides tension, and back down. Okay, and then you stick it behind the needle bar. See, I have it, I don't know if you can see this super well, but it's behind the needle bar, and mine has an automatic threader. Okay, if yours does not have an automatic threader, you will actually physically like take your thread and put it through your needle. Mine has a threader. Other machines have automatic threaders, so if yours does, it's probably similar to this. You hold the thread taut while you bring it down. You stick it down behind so that the little hook catches it, and it pulls it through the needle. You take your little loop and pull it through. I don't need it that long, so I'm going to trim it. Okay, our machine is threaded. Now, because we are just sewing a regular line, we are going to be using a single just straight stitch. Okay, machines generally set straight stitches 2.5 millimeters apart. You can adjust yours however you want, but just in general, do what the machine does. Okay, has automatic for you. The other thing that machines have is this plate. And this plate tells you the different measurements. So here's 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch. And these are metric, I believe. These are centimeters. Okay. We are going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance on our pillowcase. That means that my fabric edge needs to line up with the 1/2 inch. Okay, we are going to back stitch at the very beginning. Let me take off. Mine has some special things that cut the thread at the end and do its own back stitch, but your machines won't have that, so I'm taking that off so I can show you. Okay, so you are going to lower your needle either using your manual turner. I don't even know what that's called. Mine has a button, and I push the button and my needle's lowered, and now my light is on showing me that my needle is lowered. It did lower the presser foot a little bit, but it brings it up enough so that you can swivel your fabric in and out, which is good because when we come to the corners, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to swivel our fabric to the other corner. Okay, so we will take a few stitches forward. I'm going to pull that pin out, and then we're going to use our reverse. Whatever your reverse is, some people have just a lever they push down. Mine is a button. My little reverse is this little button right here. It's showing me that I'm in reverse position right now. We'll take a couple stitches in reverse, set it back to forward, and you will sew. Key to sewing a straight line, do not look at your needle. Okay, you do not want to look at your needle at all. You want to watch this 1/2 inch line and the edge of your thread, edge of your fabric. So you'll just go forward until you feel like, I think I might be at 1/2 inch. So you'll stop with your needle in. You'll rotate. Oh, I am past 1/2 inch. I'm at 5/8. So I need to go another couple stitches, probably 2. Start off slow until you get comfortable. We're a little too far now. So I'm going to go 1. Okay, I've reversed back. Look, now my fabric is exactly on 1/2 inch. Okay, you're gonna sew your second line. I am not watching my needle at all. I am literally only looking at my 1/2 inch marking and the edge of my fabric. Slow down at the corner, see what we got. Oh, beautiful, we're right at 1/2 inch. Okay, this is why it's convenient to sew over your pins. You don't have to stop all the time. I did just hit that one. It's probably a little bent now, but once they get really bent, I just throw them away. Let's check our corner. We are pretty much at 1/2 inch, okay? So now, if your pins are going this way, you're gonna have to stitch, pause, take your pin out. Some people are really adept at taking their pins out without pausing, but I find that my lines aren't very straight when I do that, so I don't like to do that. So that's just what you'll have to do, and go at your own pace. You don't have to sew as fast as I do. We'll check our corner. We're right at 1/2 inch. Okay, when we get past this last pin, we're gonna stop, put it in reverse again, do a couple stitches, put it back going forward, and go straight. Mine has a thing that automatically cuts it. Okay, if yours doesn't, you can just pull it up, and there's usually a thread cutter right here. So if you pull it up and you wind it around there, it cuts your thread. Okay, now we can remove all of our pins that are still in there. And we can check our seams just to make sure that we've gotten everything that we want to get. Oh, that stabbed me. Okay, we have our opening, and it's reinforced on either side of our opening, so our stitching is not going to come out. And looks like we have perfect squares all the way around. We've got good tension all the way around. Looks good. Now we can go to our iron and flip it inside out. Here we are at our ironing board, and we are getting our iron hot. I've just plugged mine back in, getting it warm. Whenever you have something that has corners that you're turning inside out or right side out, you want to trim your corners. So I can see my little, it's easier to see the thread marks on the other side of the fabric because it's not white on white. So flip it over, look at your colored fabric, and you're literally just going to trim the corners off so that when we turn it inside out or right side out, there's not a bunch of giant bulky fabric in the corners. We can get nice, pretty, square corners. Okay, so I have trimmed all of my corners, and now we're literally going to stick our hand inside, grab one of these corners, and pull everything through. My fabric is super stiff because it's outdoor canvas, so it's going to take a little while to get it all the way through. And you can shove from the other end, and it will get a little bit wrinkly, but that's okay because we are going to iron it anyways. Okay, let's see if I can get this to pull through. This is why we reinforce the corners at our starting and stopping points, so that if they weren't reinforced, it's so tight through there that the stitches would just pull and you'd have a bigger hole than you started with. Okay, getting there. This corner's not out. Now you can take something pointy. I'm going to use the end of my scissors and shove it into this corner to make my corners super nice and pointy. Just to get as much of the fabric out as you can. I need to rotate these. My hand barely fits in my hole. There we go. Okay. You want really nice, really pretty corners. Okay, these ones I can do with my fingers because my fingers reach it. All right, now on the fabric side, not your cross stitch side, we're going to press. Okay, so I have my iron set on the highest setting and I am using steam. Doesn't need to be a lot of steam, but steam. And I am going to just whittle, I don't even know if that's the right word, just wiggle these seams so that they are perfectly straight. Okay, and then I am going to iron and press right along this seam. Hold it down for a minute just because my fabric is super thick. Okay, then wiggle the next one. Just get all of your seams perfectly crisp and all of your corners really crisp. Okay, we'll do this other solid seam. You can see me and hear my steam coming up. Okay, now on the side that has your hole, you're gonna kind of stick your fingers in the hole to make sure that it folds under 1/2 inch on both sides. And then you're gonna press this side that has the hole. Okay, we have essentially a pillowcase. Okay, a pillow casing. We have everything we need except for the stuffing. Okay, now we are ready to go ahead and stuff our pillow.